Sit back and listen to this extremely interesting story.
In part 1, I took my wife on a 7-day rock and roll cruise. My wife loves rock and roll and was a fan of many bands in her youth. My wife had seen my sister's movies on my computer and thought it would be interesting to explore this topic on the cruise while she was looking to hook up with a few musicians. It wasn't until we were on board that I realized she only packed women's clothing. You will never see any of these people on this ship ever again. I think you will make a cute woman. To my surprise, I enjoyed dressing up in women's clothes and applying lipstick. On the first day of the cruise, my wife disappeared for a while, leaving me alone to meet the boys. When I returned to our room, I found my wife talking to an old friend. I decided to join, and the three of us hung out. Part 2, this is going to be a great cruise. Get cleaned up, refresh your lipstick, and let's get ready for dinner. As we head downstairs for dinner, I notice that the men are still paying attention to me, but somehow, instead of being self-conscious, I feel excited. At dinner, we sit with two married couples, maybe a few years older than us. Since we all share the same love for music, conversation is easy. Everyone talks about their favorite bands and concerts they've seen. After a drink or two, my wife starts talking about her days to the group and mentions a few rock stars she used to be friends with. I could tell the woman was a little uncomfortable, but their husbands were thrilled. Then she says, "Brianna and I had an argument about who could make more acquaintances on this cruise. I feel the need to jump in." My sister has a weird sense of humor, and it gets weirder when she drinks. We all have a few laughs. When the couples get up, one of the husbands passes my wife a note. "My wife and I like to spend time in an unusual way. Why don't you and your husband, sister, come into our room later?" My wife smiles and whispers in his ear, "We are checking out some concerts tonight. If we can't get to your room later, we will hook up tomorrow." After dinner, we head back to our room. We have about an hour before our first concert. I am concerned that at least twice I have been discovered as a man, and I express these concerns to my wife. She reassures me that I make a very attractive woman, but need a little more coaching to be completely passable. "You've been a woman for less than 12 hours. There's still a lot to learn. We're going to give you some treatments tomorrow. Trust me, you're going to love it. Your clothes will look a lot better. You need to improve your posture and gait, and we need to do something about your reaction. Seeing the way men look at you, believe me, most of them can't understand. Now let's get dressed for tonight's show." My wife wears quite revealing clothes. She looks a lot like she did in her band days when I first met her. "How do I look?" She asked. "Very good." She offers us to paint our lips to match and chooses a bright red. After we've both applied our lips, she says, "If this doesn't help us date, nothing will. I'm a simple guy. I don't want to spend my time like that." "Come on, dear, you already have experience of such communication. Like I said, you'll never see any of these people again. Let's have some fun. I don't know what happened this afternoon. You saw your beautiful wife talking to another guy and you were delighted. Trust me, once we get you straightened out and made more feminine, you'll want to meet." Again I said, "I do not want." "Of course you are a simple guy. Trust me, once you get to know a rock and roll artist, you'll be thrilled. Just the thought of him in my past immediately makes me feel good. I love you, honey. Thank you so much for this cruise and for being a good sport. I promise to make you feel good with lipstick before the cruise is over." With that, I calmed down a bit and we got ready to leave. My wife hands me a little designer bag. "Hold this and keep some makeup in there. You never know when you will need to freshen up your lipstick." We went to one of the venues where a couple of our favorite bands were performing. I realized we hadn't been to a concert before the pandemic, and we were both really excited to see and hear live music. When the band started playing, everyone was singing, dancing, and having fun. After the first set, the drummer and the soloist approached us with his wife. They introduced themselves as Tony and Frank. My wife invited them to our room for a drink, and they both agreed. In the elevator, my wife spent time with Frank. Tony started talking to me, and I reciprocated without thinking twice. We continued talking when we reached the room. Once inside, Frank started hugging my wife. She liked it, feeling him tactilely. Tony hugged me, whispering in my ear how we were going to spend our time. I was afraid he would notice my rage, but before he did, he said, "I'm sorry, Brianna. I don't like girls who don't take care of themselves. I think I should go." I asked him not to go out, but he started for the door. Just then, my wife said, "Don't leave Tony. I can hang out with two guys. You and Frank can both hug me, and Brianna will reveal her little secret and watch over the three of us. Brianna, why don't you show the boys your little secret?" With her encouragement, I revealed my secret to them. My wife said, "I caught my Husband watching movies and thought this cruise would be a good chance to explore his feminine side. He seems to really enjoy it, but we still have some work to do. Tomorrow I'll get him straightened up and work on some feminine side skills. Tony said, "I'm sorry you scared me." Maybe tomorrow I can help her with her communication skills. Yesterday was her first close encounter, but there is work to be done. Brianna, do you want to hang out with Tony tomorrow? You don't have to answer. Why don't you take notes while I hang out with these two rock stars? Frank was the first to take the initiative. Wow, that's great. I'd better refresh my lipstick. My wife put on her lips, came back a minute later, and immediately started spending time with Frank, giving me directions. Tony was pleasing my wife. Finally, the three of them started spending time together. I really liked it, and she knew it. Tony and Frank liked it too. Look at your husband just sitting there while his wife spends time with two boys. Molly, my wife, felt better. She invited me to join. She asked me if I liked it. When I said yes, she said, "Okay, now be a good sister and make me happy." I did as I was told. Frank then said, "We need to get back for our second set. Hope we see you tomorrow." Then my wife said, "I hope so too, Brianna. What do you have to say?" Thank you for spending time with my wife. When the men leave, my wife looks at me and smiles. I must be getting old. In my youth group, I would never get tired so quickly. No, honey, you're not getting older. You're getting better. I can't believe how beautiful you look tonight hanging out with those guys. I'm glad you liked it. It's been a fantasy of mine for a while. I was afraid you wouldn't be interested in it. I'm sorry you didn't get to know them better today. Let's go to bed. We'll wake up early. I'll get you settled and you more feminine and beautiful than ever. Tomorrow my little sister will get her chance to shine. Just then there is a knock on the door. My wife answers it. A very tall, athletic man is standing there. He introduces himself as Big Joe. Frank and Tony sent me. I understand there is a boy in the room. It just so happens that I can look for someone to be my friend for this cruise. That would be my husband, I mean my sister. My wife answers. Big Joe walks up to me and tells me to get up. I think I like his size and his confidence, and it makes me excited and nervous at the same time. I stand timidly as he checks me. Not bad, he says. Then he asks my wife, "How long has Brianna been dressing up?" She just started this cruise. She still needs my help with clothes and makeup. I'm going to fix it tomorrow. Then he spins me. I hope you like to get spanked. It hurt a bit, but I said yes. Then he said, "That's yes, Master Joe, to you." Yes, Master Joe, I like to get spanked. My wife is sitting on a chair. She seems to be enjoying the way Big Joe is controlling me. Okay, sis, go freshen up your lipstick. If you do a good job, I'll let you get to know me better. Yes, Master Joe. I do as I'm told. Apply my red lipstick and wait for Big Joe's approval. Very good. He then asks my wife if she wants to watch how they spend their time. I would love to. Big Joe showed that he is called Big Joe for a reason. My wife says, I've never seen anything like that, although I've seen a lot. I say nervously, I don't think I can do it. What did you say? I don't think I can do that, Mr. Joe. I think you're better off if you want to be my little sister friend. Now please me. After remembering a little of what my wife tried to show me earlier, I begin to please him. Joe seems to approve, which makes me happy. Nice work, mate. Keep it up. We spent time together until he got better. Not bad for a beginner, he says, but you need some practice. Tomorrow, when you look better, I want you to pick up a random guy and hang out with him. I want your wife to videotape it and send it to me. If you do a good job, I'll get to know you better and you can be my friend for the rest of the cruise. Do you want this? Yes, Master Joe. A Big Joe gets dressed and gets ready to go. As he walks, he whispers something to my wife. When he left, my wife brought me a plastic cup. She tells me to fill it. I start doing this and my wife grabs her cell phone and takes a picture of me. Within seconds, I filled the cup. Now smile and drink what's in the glass. What a night, she said. I think Big Joe likes you. I hope so. He is so big and strong and very good looking. Besides, he has a huge surprise, adds my wife. Yes, and that too. I'm afraid that it will hurt me when we start intimate communication. Trust me, you'll love it. The first time I spent time like this, I was in love. I think my Brianna is in love with Big Joe. I'm so glad you're enjoying the cruise. Now let's get some sleep. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow. To be continued.
Subscribe to our channel so that your second C, Gaff, doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story. Because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.